Good morning friends and welcome back to Trans India, Real People, Real Emotions. This week we continue our interaction with Mr Vivek Arya, Managing Director of Rhenus Logistics India. But before that, we have a very special feature on the Driver Training Institute run by Krishna District Lorry Owners Association. Road safety has always been a matter of great concern and the number of accidents, deaths and injuries just seem to be growing every year. We all know that traditionally most truck drivers have not received any formal training and they are simply cleaner turned drivers who have hands-on training. But that does leave a huge shortfall in training, especially when it comes to safe driving and knowing all the rules and regulations. In this special feature, we take you inside Krishna District Lorry Owners Association's Driver Training Institute, and taking us around is Mr. Eswara and Mr. Gopisetty Veera Venkaiah. Coming up on the other side of this very short break, a peek into the Driver Training Institute run by Krishna District Lorry Owners Association. You are watching Trans India, Real People, Real Emotions.
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका ब्लेजो एक्स सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, वरना कर दीजिए ट्रक वापस।
सॉरी अजय, महिंद्रा फ्यूरियो है। एक्शन!
महिंद्रा गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका फ्यूरियो सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, नहीं तो
एक्चुअली जयो, महिंद्रा जयो है, थोड़ा चेंज है। एंड एक्शन!
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका जयो सबसे। चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
मैम, ये चारों ट्रक ज्यादा माइलेज देते हैं, चारों।
तो ऐसा बोलो ना, ब्लेजो एक्स, फ्यूरियो, फ्यूरियो 7 और जयो। महिंद्रा के ये सभी ट्रक्स देते हैं सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज की गारंटी, नहीं तो कर दीजिए इन्हें वापस। महिंद्रा, देश की सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाली ट्रक रेंज।
ये हमारा कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन है, एस्टैब्लिश्ड इन द 1953। ये बाद में 1966 में वो रजिस्ट्रेशन कर दिया। वो 1980 में सेंट्रल मोटर व्हीकल एक्ट में वो हेवी ड्राइवर लाइसेंस लेने के लिए मिनिमम 1 मंथ ट्रेनिंग करना चाहिए, इसमें वो सेंट्रल मोटर व्हीकल एक्ट में आया। ये आया तक वो 3 और 4 साल में मैं देखा वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, इसीलिए ये सब्जेक्ट में वो उसमें ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। वो टाइम में ये हमारा ये कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन का ये एस्टैब्लिशमेंट वाला वो बड़ा आदमी है, ये सोच रहा क्या ये वो ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग स्कूल हम भी ये हमारा एसोसिएशन एस्टैब्लिश करके हमारा ड्राइवर को ट्रेनिंग देना, ये उनका ये आइडिया आया। ये आइडिया में वो 1993 में ये 4.16 एकर्स में ये गोड़वली में कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग सेंटर, ड्राइविंग स्कूल एंड ट्रेनिंग सेंटर वो बना दिया इसमें 1993 में। ये बाद में वो मेरे को नेशनल रोड सेफ्टी अवार्ड आया। ये इसमें हमारा क्या काम करेगा, जब ओनली रोड सेफ्टी में वो काम करेगा। इसमें 2003-2005 में ये हमारा ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट ये अपग्रेड कर दिया। ये क्या ये पहले वो 4 एकड़ का वो सस्ता नहीं है, वो ये टाइम में वो नेशनल हाईवे में वो ट्रेनिंग दिए तो वो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगा, ऐसी सोच रहा। इसमें वो 20 एकर्स लैंड में ये ख़रीद करके हमारा सेंट्रल मोटर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट हाईवे के वो 4 करोड़ दिया, मेरे को ग्रांट दिया। इसमें 1.5 करोड़ हमारा ये एसोसिएशन के मेंबर्स के लिए, ये उनका ये के लिए ये थोड़ा 5.5 करोड़ में ये बना दिया। इसमें 20 एकर्स में ये ऐसा वो इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड में ऐसा बना दिया। अभी डिफरेंस ऑफ कैटेगरीज में 1 लाख नियरली 1,26,000 ड्राइवर्स अभी तक ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग दिया। यो इसीलिए हमारा ये गवर्नमेंट का, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का थोड़ा सपोर्ट दिए तो और वो ज़्यादा सर्विस करने के लिए मैं तैयार हूँ। ये अभी तक हेवी लाइसेंस देने के लिए मैं सब्सिडी दे रहा हूँ। हमारा कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन, मेरे को एक फंक्शन हॉल है एसोसिएशन में, ये फंक्शन हॉल और अदर फंड्स ये पूरा इधर खर्चा करेगा। ये वी आर कलेक्टिंग द फीस ओनली 6000, ये बाहर वाले कलेक्टिंग 15,000 पर मैन। ये APSRTC वाला वो भी ट्रेनिंग देता, ही इज़ कलेक्टिंग 24,000 पर कैंडिडेट। ये वी आर कलेक्टिंग ओनली 6,000 रुपीज़। ये बाकी में सब्सिडी ये हमारा एसोसिएशन में वो बैलेंस कर देता। ये हमारा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट थोड़ा सपोर्ट दिए तो ये सेल्फ सफिशिएंट करे तो मेरे भी अच्छा रहेगा। ये हमारा ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में वो सिमुलेटर बनाने के लिए तैयार हूँ मैं, और हमारा ट्रैक पूरा ऑटोमेशन करने के लिए ये सोच रहा हूँ। ये ऑटोमेशन मतलब क्या है उनका, ये ऑटोमेशन है तो वो चेकिंग उसमें वो ड्राइवर कहाँ कैसा ड्राइविंग करे तो ऐसा ये पूरा इसमें मॉनिटर में वो आ जाएगा। इसमें वो बाद में ये फ्यूचर प्लान में ये पूरा ट्रैक ऑटोमेशन एंड सिमुलेटर्स भी वो मीडियम व्हीकल का और बड़ा व्हीकल का वो सिमुलेटर तैयार करने के लिए हमारा वो सोच रहा हूँ। यूरो 6 BS6 व्हीकल्स आता है, वो BS6 व्हीकल चलने के लिए उनका ड्राइवर का ये पुराना ड्राइवर का तो मालूम नहीं। ये पुराना ड्राइवर के पकड़े उनके व्हाट दिट इज़ माय आइडिया, ये हेवी व्हीकल ड्राइवर उसमें वो रिन्यूअल करने के टाइम में ये उनका ये पकड़ के इधर वो 2 दिन में 3 दिन में बैठ के वो BS4 व्हीकल कैसा है, BS6 का वो क्या डिफरेंस है, ये उनका फ्यूल सिस्टम में वो डिफरेंस है, वो भी वो गाड़ी पूरा गाड़ी में पूरा एग्रीगेट्स भी पूरा चेंज हुआ, वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आ जाएगा। इसी में वो ट्रेनिंग देने के लिए मैं तैयार हूँ। रीजंस क्या है, ये उनका रोड एक्सीडेंट्स ज़्यादा है ना, ये इसमें वो पब्लिक में 10th पढ़ने के लिए आदमी को 10,000 15,000 उनका ये जॉब मिलता है। ये हमारा वो ड्राइविंग में थोड़ा रिस्क है, कैसा है वो ऐसा आदमी नहीं आता। अभी थोड़ा उनका माइंड में चेंज हुआ था। अभी वो B.Tech BSc और डिग्री वो पढ़ने वाले भी वो आ जाता। ये हमारा ईच बैच में 5 to 10 मेंबर्स वो डिग्री फिनिश करने वाले और इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ने वाले भी वो आ जाएगा। ये थोड़ा अभी थोड़ा मेरे को वो ज़्यादा आदमी आता है, ऐसा हमारा सोच रहा हूँ। वो इसमें वो ट्रैक में वो सिंगल रोड, डबल लाइन रोड, 4 लाइन रोड, 6 लाइन रोड, 4 लाइन रोड विदाउट डिवाइडर, 4 लाइन रोड विथ डिवाइडर और हेयर पिन बेंड, हम्प, डिप, वाई जंक्शन, एस जंक्शन, पार्किंग पैरेलल पार्किंग, वो ऐसा वो 15 डिग्री से 360 डिग्रीज तक वो डिफरेंस टाइप्स ऑफ एमिनिटीज़ इसमें ये बना दिया। ये रोड में अभी तक हेयर पिन बेंड में है अभी और 8 भी है। 8 में 360 डिग्रीज में और वो पहले जाना ये बाद में वो लाइन का वो पीछे जाना, ऐसा वो ट्रेनिंग देता हूँ। ये थोड़ा 1953 में चन्नुपाटी शेषगिरिराव, पेनमकूरी केशवराव, other dignitaries, they are establishing of the Krishna District Lorry Owners Association. The association registered in 1966. 1966 में बाद में एक फंक्शन हॉल का एक बना दिया। ये फंक्शन हॉल में वो आय का वो इनकम से ये एसोसिएशन वो रनिंग करने ये फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट है। ये बाद में एक मोटर ट्रांसपोर्ट पत्रिका और ये ग्रंथालय एक बना दिया। ये इसमें वो पब्लिक सेफ्टी के लिए। ये बाद में 1993 में एक ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग स्कूल एक बना दिया। इसमें 4.16 एकड़ में ये गुड़ावली में ये पहले ये बना दिया। ये बाद में वो टाइम में ये ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग ये नेशनल हाईवे में वो दिया। ये अच्छा नहीं हमारा एसोसिएशन का लीडर्स ये बड़ा लीडर्स है सोच रहा के ये 2003 से 2005 तक ये मॉडल ये अपग्रेड करने के लिए ये 20 एकर्स खरीद करके ये मॉडल ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट एंड रिसर्च सेंटर इसमें अंपापुरम विलेज में वो बना दिया। इसमें वो इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स में वो नियरली 50,000 SFT एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन बिल्डिंग एंड वो 1+1 वो 2,500 आदमी का नाइट रहने के लिए एक गेस्ट हाउस एक बना दिया और एक वर्कशॉप एक बना दिया। ये वर्कशॉप में ये हमारा वो गाड़ी रिपेयर वगैरह एक भी वो प्लेटफॉर्म के सर्विसिंग वगैरह यही करके अभी तक चालू हुआ। अभी 1,25,000 के ज़्यादा वो डिफरेंस कैटेगरीज में वो ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग दिया। ये बाद में 1967 में एक कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स म्यूचुअली एडेड कोऑपरेटिव स्टोर्स एक बना दिया। ये पहले वो 10 आदमी 20 आदमी है वो मेंबर्स, अभी तक 3,481 मेंबर्स है। ये हमारा वो सोसाइटी में वो 4 पेट्रोल पंप है, 4 नेशनल हाईवेज में 4 पेट्रोल पंप्स है। ये इसमें वो लूब ऑयल्स का ये 10 शॉप्स है ना। ये पूरा नियरली 350 करोड़ अबो ये टर्नओवर है। ये इसमें वो 15 डायरेक्टर्स है। ये 15 डायरेक्टर्स भी ये वॉलंटरी वो काम करता है। ये भी ये प्रेजेंट और बिफोर लीडर्स भी वो अच्छा काम करने के लिए वो ऐसा वो बड़ा हुआ। ये कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन भी ऐसा भी वो 7 मेंबर्स ये ऑफिस बेरर्स है। 7 मेंबर्स की कुछ एक पैसा भी ये नहीं कोई दिया नहीं। वो 7 मेंबर्स ये वॉलंटियर भी वो काम करने के लिए ऐसा बड़ा है। ये बाद में 1971 में ये आंध्र प्रदेश लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन इसमें एस्टाब्लिश कर दिया विजयवाड़ा में। वो पेरमकुरी केशवराव साहब उनका ये 1971 से 2000 तक उन्हें जनरल सेक्रेटरी से वो काम किया। ये अभी तक 50 इयर्स हो गया। ये बाद में 2015 में ये कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स फाउंडेशन एक एस्टाब्लिश कर दिया। ये फाउंडेशन में ये हमारा कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन एंड कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स म्यूचुअली एडेड कोऑपरेटिव स्टोर्स ये 2 इंस्टीट्यूशंस ये 2 करोड़ रुपया से ये करके ये कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स फाउंडेशन ये बना दिया। कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स फाउंडेशन में एक तेलुगु भाषा अभिवृद्धि और कुछ पुअर पीपल और हेल्थ हजार्डस कोई आदमी के लिए वो सहाय करने के लिए अभी तक 60 लाख वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया। ये गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में कुछ होना ही तो ये बाद में छोटा छोटा स्कूल है ना, ये स्कूल वाले को थोड़ा बेंचेस फैंस ऐसा वो दिया। ये बाद में कोई 1-2 चिल्ड्रन स्कूल का ये दत्तक लेके ये उनका वो अच्छा फैसिलिटीज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंप्लीट करके ऐसा कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स ये फाउंडेशन से ऐसा ये पब्लिक सर्विस ये काम करेगा। और ये 1971 से ये अभी तक आंध्र प्रदेश लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन एंड कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन ये दोनों मिल के ये सिमटा में साउथ इंडिया मोटर ट्रांसपोर्ट एसोसिएशन एंड ऑल इंडिया मोटर ट्रांसपोर्ट कांग्रेस में वही मैनेजिंग कमेटी मेंबर्स ये भी रहेगा। वो कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन वो 6 साल में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट हाईवेज में ये रोड सेफ्टी काउंसिल में 2 टाइम्स वो भी हमारा मेंबरशिप भी दिया। वैसे हमारा वो ड्राइविंग कृष्णा डिस्ट्रिक्ट लॉरी ओनर्स एसोसिएशन के वो नेशनल रोड सेफ्टी अवार्ड एंड इंटरनेशनल रोड सेफ्टी अवार्ड एंड महिंद्रा रोड सेफ्टी अवार्ड, ऐसा अवार्ड भी वो लिया। ये अभी तक अच्छा वो पब्लिक सर्विस वो काम कर दिया था। ये डीजल बहुत ज़्यादा पड़ेगा। वो डीजल में वो 10 रुपया एक्साइज ड्यूटी, वो 10 रुपया स्पेशल एक्साइज ड्यूटी, ये 12 रुपया ये रोड सेस, ऐसा डाले तो ये कैसा होगा। ये हमारा आंध्र प्रदेश में वो डीजल में 22.25% प्लस 4 रुपीज़ प्लस 1 रुपी रोड सेस, ये पेट्रोल में 33% वैट टैक्स एंड प्लस 4 रुपीज़ प्लस 1 रुपी रोड सेस, ऐसा डाल दिया। ये वो 1 रुपी रोड सेस डाले तो वो पैसा कहाँ जाएगा मालूम नहीं। वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट वाला 1 लीटर का नियरली 12 रुपया लेता है ये रोड सेस का। ये रोड सेस का मनी से वो रोड बनाता है, वो रोड बनाने के बाद ये रोड टोल वसूल करता है। वो बाद में 1000 किलोमीटर्स वो सेल करने के लिए वैसा तैयार है वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट। ऐसा ही तो इसीलिए नियरली 100 रुपीज़ पर लीटर डीजल वो ऐसा आ जाएगा। ये मार्केट में फ्राइट भी अप नहीं करेगा।
इसमें हमारा ड्राइविंग स्कूल में 10 बस है। एक बस में 16 आदमी ट्रेनिंग करता है। एक 32 दिन में 160 आदमी का ट्रेनिंग करने का हमारा स्पेशलिटी है हमारा ड्राइविंग स्कूल में। एक तो गैस टैंकर है, एक तो ऑयल टैंकर है, सबका ड्यूल, सबका 10 बस का ड्यूल कंट्रोल भी बना दिया।
ट्रैक्टर भी,
वो ट्रैक्टर भी, एक तो ट्रैक्टर है ट्रेनिंग है, वो एक तो एक्टिव 2 व्हीलर्स ट्रेनिंग है, वो 4 व्हीलर्स ट्रेनिंग है, ऑटो ट्रेनिंग है, सब हमारा ड्राइविंग स्कूल में ट्रेनिंग करेगा।
Then that was our special feature on Krishna District Lorry Owners Association's Driver Training Institute, and the first driver training institute to be run successfully by a transport association. After this very short break, we will continue our interaction with Mr. Vivek Arya and know more about his plans for training manpower for the logistics segment. See you on the other side of this break. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका ब्लेजो एक्स सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, वरना कर दीजिए ट्रक वापस।
सॉरी अजय, महिंद्रा फ्यूरियो है। एक्शन।
महिंद्रा गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका फ्यूरियो सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, नहीं तो
एक्चुअली जयो, महिंद्रा जयो है, थोड़ा चेंज है। एंड एक्शन।
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका जियो सबसे। चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
मैम, ये चारों ट्रक ज्यादा माइलेज देते हैं, चारों।
तो ऐसा बोलो ना, ब्लेजो एक्स, फ्यूरियो, फ्यूरियो 7 और जयो। महिंद्रा के ये सभी ट्रक्स देते हैं सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज की गारंटी, नहीं तो कर दीजिए इन्हें वापस। महिंद्रा, देश की सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाली ट्रक रेंज।
Vivek, you spoke about investing in people and training manpower. Do you think our road transport associations also need to play a vital role in this?
Associations can play a very big role in this, in skill development. I would put that as training as part of the skill development. Yeah, and skill development is not limited to blue collar or drivers. We need skill development across from CEO to the driver or the delivery boy in the organizations. Yeah. And a lot of large associations like Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, and they all run very successful training and plans. Apart from the association, I think each company, a fairly medium-sized to large-sized company, should have their own learning and development function within the organization. HR is a very, very important role, and how many within the transport fraternity look at HR as actually a human resource and a development role. HR, I think in most of the transport companies is limited to payroll executions. And payroll is an operational job. I think HR is a strategic thing. And we really need to focus on human developments. And that needs to be done with learning, development, and associations and everything. It has to be a lot of steps to put that together, you know.
Vivek, the last 2 weeks we carried an exclusive interview with Mr. Venkaiah, who heads the Logistics Skill Sector Council, and he spoke about how the LSC is planning to get manpower not just for the logistics segment but for other areas as well. So Vivek, what are your thoughts on skill development in India? And also going further to that, a lot has changed in the road transport industry in the last few decades. Do you think the fathers are now giving a free hand to their children to work, make mistakes and learn from those mistakes?
Nobody is talking about skill development in this business, and that's something which is big lacking, and we are not making this industry attractive for next generation. Today, most of the next generation is joining this industry under duress after they have had failed attempts on other ventures. And when they come in, they are already frustrated, and then the earlier generation is actually not allowing them to do the things in their way. So there is a lot of struggle between the generations. Right. And today you see this new generation coming in, they are frustrated, they are irritated by not getting the opportunities to do what they really would want to do. So we really need to do something to make this industry more attractive to the next generation. And big focus has to be on skill development. It's people's business, yeah, and how much are we really doing about people? We are really not talking about people. In any forums, I have not ever had any discussions about skill development. Yeah, we only talk about drivers. Drivers is very important, yes?
Vivek, you have a staff strength of 2,000 people and you've been hiring continuously. What is the general sense you get from them when they join the logistics sector? Is that their first choice of work?
Yes. I have been working now for 34 years, yeah? In 34 years, I have met probably 1 or 2 people out of thousands I have interviewed who told me they are in logistics because they wanted to make a career in logistics. People here are by either compulsion, default, or just landed up here.
Just landed, absolutely. It's not a career by choice.
It's not a career by choice. We are the second largest employer in the country after agriculture. And how many people are here out of their sheer will to be in logistics or to make the difference? And people who join here to make the difference are meeting so many roadblocks that they're not able to pursue what they really want to.
Vivek, don't you think things are getting better now? I mean, we have a larger number of professionally managed companies.
No, definitely there is, but the speed and the pace which is there,
that is dismal.
It's really bad, yeah. And plus, I think I'm more concerned about the owners' next generation, yeah. And that until they are given a free hand to pursue the new modern logistics activities or replicate models from the globe around in India. Yes, there will be trial and error, there will be mistakes, there will be follies, yeah. But I think people have deep pockets to afford those.
Vivek, what is the biggest mindset roadblock that we see, and that needs to change, of course? And how important is it to focus on the big picture rather than just focusing on the operational issues?
Another big problem we have with the transport fraternity, is that we perceive all problems external. However, most of the problems are internal. Yeah, I think there are a lot of inherent issues which we really need to resolve, yeah, and which we are not talking about. So, first thing I would say is, we have various segments in the industry, yeah, from a single truck owner to large fleet owners to logistics companies, distribution companies, express companies, courier companies. And the needs and challenges of all of them are different. And we use the same yard to measure all the problems, yeah, and that's why we are not able to find the solutions. I can, for the last 30 years I am seeing at association level, the topics are same.
Absolutely same.
Tire cost, diesel cost, vehicle cost, road conditions, toll tax, overloading, same problems we have been discussing for the last 30 years, yeah. What has changed? Only people have changed discussing the problem.
We don't talk about policy changes.
Yeah, policy. I think beyond policy is the fraternity has to get along together. Yeah, the times have changed. We have to talk about efficiency over cost.
Vivek, it has been seen generally that the road transport industry in India has always been obsessed with cost, and transport associations also focus on that aspect of the business. Does that help the industry, and is efficiency taking a back seat, or has efficiency been neglected completely in the process?
If you look at India, for example, we have the lowest cost of all factors. Diesel is the cheapest. Though we make so much noise about diesel cost, compare the diesel cost with European countries, American countries, we are cheaper.
Right.
You look at the cost of equipment like truck, we are cheaper. You look at the toll taxes, we are the cheapest in the world. Driver cost, salaries, we are the cheapest in the country. When all your input factors are the cheapest in the world, why is your cost to deliver the highest in the world?
Vivek, let me put that question to you in fact. Why is it the logistics costs in India are so high despite the other input costs being lower comparatively? And how much is lack of efficiency hurting the industry and the country as a whole, of course?
Because we do not focus on efficiencies. We do not look at the whole thing as cost to deliver or end to end. We are always bargaining. We do not negotiate, we bargain. And there is a difference between the two. And the problem, it's an inherent problem. It's the problem of lack of confidence between the buyer and the seller. Today in our country, the bigger problem, challenge, we have issues which are to be addressed at a core level. Today, the buyer of services and the seller of services, both are not trained in logistics. Okay, the buyer is a finance guy, auto materials management guy, not a logistician. The seller is looking at his own cost and trying to deliver to make some money out of the relationship he establishes with the buyer. That's how the industry is operating. From a buyer side, they are buying different pieces of the logistics and the people don't talk to each other. So one person is buying customs clearance, other is buying trucking services, other is buying the warehousing services, one guy is buying the international freight services. Nobody is looking at the total piece.
There's no sync between it.
There's no sync, and when the things go bad, we are all pointing fingers backward or forward. So I think we have to first look at efficiencies in the system, and our cost of high logistics costs at 13% of GDP compared to 9% in advanced countries is because of lack of efficiencies and nothing else.
Vivek, how do we get efficiency into the system? I mean, there is so much to change.
So what is efficiency or what is inefficiency? Inefficiency is underutilization of your assets. So I would come to the more broader subject. Today, the logistics company or the transport companies need to decide where they categorize themselves. Either you are a company with the brain or you're a company with the muscle. You cannot be both. When I say you're the brain or the muscle, brain is who designs solutions, IT network, etc. And the muscle is the one who comes with the infrastructure, equipments. What we are trying to do, all of us are trying to do, all the things in-house. So that doesn't really work. You need to understand where you want to put yourself. See, today money is a commodity. Earlier, owning an asset was a big thing, because capital was itself in short supply. Today, to raise capital or to get funds from the bank or to raise debt is no more a challenge for anyone. And to buy trucks is probably the simplest thing, but running and managing the truck is the difficult element. Yes. So I think first the trucking companies or the logistics company need to position themselves, whether they want to be the brain or they want to be the muscle. Step number one. If you want to be the muscle, where you own the warehouses, where you own the equipments, then you need to focus on economies of scale. And to focus on economies of scale, your per piece cost has to be the lowest. And then you become a supplier to the brain, who in turn provides the right solution to the customer. And if we try to do everything, it's like a well-cooked khichdi, And that's exactly what is happening.
So Vivek, collaboration and joining hands, is that the need of the hour, is what you mean to say?
It's a time where we need to get to collaborative logistics. How many people in this industry really want to work together and talk and set up this collaborative way of working? Today we are talking about efficiencies. A truck moving from, let's say, Bombay to Delhi, there's no return loads in Delhi. But why don't two logistics companies or transport companies collaborate and say, okay, you own the equipment, I will provide you load on one side, you have a load on one side. But we don't have that collaborative approach. We are always trying to pull the rug under each other's feet.
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका ब्लेजो एक्स सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, वरना कर दीजिए ट्रक वापस।
सॉरी अजय, महिंद्रा फ्यूरियो है। एक्शन।
महिंद्रा गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका फ्यूरियो सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देता है, नहीं तो
एक्चुअली जयो, महिंद्रा जयो है, थोड़ा चेंज है। एंड एक्शन।
महिंद्रा ये गारंटी देते हैं कि उनका जियो सबसे। चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
मैम, ये चारों ट्रक ज्यादा माइलेज देते हैं, चारों।
तो ऐसा बोलो ना, ब्लेजो एक्स, फ्यूरियो, फ्यूरियो 7 और जयो। महिंद्रा के ये सभी ट्रक्स देते हैं सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज की गारंटी, नहीं तो कर दीजिए इन्हें वापस। महिंद्रा, देश की सबसे ज्यादा माइलेज देने वाली ट्रक रेंज।
That is one tradition that has not changed in the road transport industry for many years now. In fact, most transporters have been blaming the customers for pulling down the freight.
It hasn't changed. And there is no confidence amongst the service providers. As I said, the problems and challenges are internal in nature. Today we keep cribbing and complaining about customers. Yeah? The customer does what he gets. How can you blame the customer? I have seen examples in cases where we were working with a customer. The customer has not behaved in the appropriate way and for whatever reason. And immediately the competition steps in and undertakes those terms and conditions which are really not viable for the business. I think that has to change.
Vivek, what are the elements that the industry needs to look at to drive a positive change?
So the industry has to look at standardization, which is something missing. I'm told that they are working with the BIS and all that to set up some standards in the transport industry. But it's not only standards about BIS standards. Yeah, we are also talking about standards in terms of terms and conditions. If you look at the European model or the American model, there is a set standard trading conditions. In India, we do not have any such.
It has to be a two-way traffic, not just a one-sided thing.
It has to be a win-win. If it is only win, it will never survive the test of the time. So we need to have set standard trading conditions, number one, which all transport fraternity or logistic fraternity has to agree to. And we need to work on that. So one is standardization, which is really lacking in our industry. Two, we do not have any standardization, whether it is the truck size or what kind of trucks operate where. So we need to get standardization there. Three, we do not have any unitization. So if you go to Europe and you say a pallet, it is a Euro pallet, 1200 by 800, period. Everything is designed basis that pallet. So your truck dimensions are designed with the pallet, your warehouses are designed with the pallet, your MHEs are designed with the pallet, and the MOQ coming from the customers is also designed on the basis of what can fit into one pallet. So I have been to warehouses which we are talking about 100,000, 200,000 square meters, which is like 10 lakh square feet, 20 lakh square feet, working with least number of people because everything is either mechanized or is unitized. But in India we do not have, because we do not have these scales in place. So if you look at the obvious efficiency we were talking about, for example, so I think it's standardization, unitization, which will lead to mechanization. Today we really lack mechanization, which mechanization will lead to larger footprint of warehouses, which will lead to economies of scale, which will lead to lower per piece cost. That's the obvious transition to say in short. And along with this, technology and digitization has to play an extremely important role. We are living in a VUCA world, yeah? We all know what VUCA is. and this is not going to change. So every customer must have a real-time visibility to make real-time decisions to move their inventories or whatever they need to do. I think we are not focused on that. Even pandemic has been a great lesson for us in terms of digitization, technology. Today, how many of the service providers are really working on this piece of it? And we really need to do that very quickly, to get the benefits there. The human touch points are tremendous in our industry. We need to really reduce that. The government has done some great initiatives, if you look at the customs clearance. It can all happen now with faceless. And similarly, the government is working on toll taxes with these RFID cards, etc., all that. So I think we need to reduce human touch points in the whole supply chain. And that can only happen, again, coming to standardization and unitization. So till we really don't work on this, and the association levels, these are the subjects we need to talk about. Skill development, standardization, unitization, making this industry an attractive for employees as well as for next generation of the owners. I know there are thousands of transport logistics companies up for sale in our country because their next generation does not want to pursue this business.
So Vivek, a very honest confession from you. Was road transport your first choice of work, or it was a family business you had to join in? What's the story?
Yeah, it was a family business, and I started my training in '87 under my dad. '92 we had a split in the family, so the responsibility came on me to run the business. So that's how I came into the business.
How old were you at that point of time?
And in '92, when I took full charge, I was 20 years. Yeah.
Vivek, your company has operations not just in India but across the globe. You cater to a lot of world markets with Rhenus as a whole. What was the impact of the lockdown, and how challenging was that period for you?
So when in the month of March 2020, when the lockdowns were announced, it came as a big surprise to everyone, though we were always, everybody was talking something is going to happen, because looking at the global news, there were lockdowns happening all over the place. But yet the magnitude of the lockdown was not something which anybody envisaged. And things came to a grinding halt immediately after the lockdown was announced. I think it was 24th of March or something. What we did in Rhenus India in first week of March, when this discussions about pandemic and all were rolling out, we created a task force. And this task force consisted of the leadership team of Rhenus. And we had representations from each region and business unit. And this task force started having virtual calls. So we had already our MS Teams and our systems, etc. in place. So we started with our virtual calls twice a week to take stock of the situation around the country. And each region, each BU would represent there and talk about what's happening in their region. We also completely decentralized our way of working. So all the business units and the regions were authorized to make decisions in the safety of the employees and to ensure continuity of services to our customers. So both these things actually became the biggest asset for us. The task force meeting twice a week virtually, and decentralization of the whole country in terms of management. So decision making was not privy to somebody sitting in the corporate office. So any branch manager, regional manager who thought it deemed fit to make decisions in the interest of employees' safety first and the customer's business continuity. So these two things really worked for us. And so initially for a couple of weeks everything was under lockdown. We were all sitting at home. And during this 2 weeks also, we are doing some work with pharma business for life-saving drugs, etc. So we approached the various bodies, authorities, and we got permissions to open some of our establishments to be able to make sure that continuity of business happens. So the business started trickling in terms of servicing our customers. It was not about business in terms of invoicing to the customer. It was more from business to ensure continuity of our customers. So that started in March, and then the thing started easing out a little towards the April, and then we had permissions to open our warehouses, and yet we continued to work from home. Some of the offices also got permissions to open up, and people started reporting to the offices and so on, and slowly the business started happening. In fact, our team, our leadership team, our people, all 2,000 plus people, did an extremely good job during this pandemic. And I can share with you, in the last 2 years, our top line has grown by 50%. Yeah, and it's been a great run in terms of business, having to service our customers. We got a lot of appreciations. All our 4 business units have been working since March, April last year, with some minor breaks in times and so on. And we did a lot of work to look after our people in terms of medical insurances, in terms of terms insurances for our people. We all put that together. We also did some community kitchens, etc. So yeah, a lot of activities happening, and to get our teams stay connected together, we had virtual town halls, etc. So there was a lot of dissemination of information actually. I think in these times it's very important to communicate with your own people and with your customers. And that our marketing team, our leadership team did a fantastic job in organizing all these forums, though all virtually, but extremely well. So I remember one of the town halls, we had almost like 600, 700 employees join on a virtual town hall, which lasted about 5 or 6 hours. So the team really stuck together, looked after each other, and if anybody was sick, our team members actually ensured that they got food at home, so they really looked after each other. I think this bonding between the team really took place very well, you know.
Vivek, going forward, what are your plans besides, of course, the 4 new businesses that you're going to set up? And how do you see the future of the industry on the whole?
I think the future for us, we are looking at a couple of targets in terms of acquisitions. So that is something we would like to do. We would like to, as I said, we are running these 4 excellence programs, so we would like to excel in each of them. And so I always believe that it's always continuous improvement in all departments. That is where we would like to do that. We would like to, we hired actually just before COVID, our plan was to hire 5 to 6 management trainees who come with engineering and MBA backgrounds, and put them in our 6 months in each of the business units and groom them for leaders for tomorrow. So we already initiated that, and then because of COVID took a step back. Now again, come March this year, we will be recruiting 10 management trainees every year who come with engineering and MBA background or chartered accountant background. We will train them, groom them. So by end of 5 years, we would have at least good 30-40 leaders within the organization. And yeah, we would like to increase the scale of our operations. That is something which we would want to work continuously on. We all these last years, we have been more, as I told you initially, muscle or brain. We were the brain part, yeah, and now we will also move into the muscle part. So we will be investing into warehouses, etc., and hopefully with least borrowing, yeah. So that is something which is not on cards for us. Being a family-owned company, we will never go into IPOs or venture capitalists or something like that. That's not our area of, yeah, that's not where we want to focus. And also, you know, our partner Clemens Rethman, who is the owner of Rhenus, yeah, he's the eldest of the 4 brothers. He always says, you know, Vivek, because we are family owned, we don't have any shareholders from outside or listed market equities or venture capitalists or banks. So we never need to play to the gallery. Absolutely. Yeah, and what we need to do, we have a more long-term view on any business we do. which is more sustainable and always in the interest of our business. I think for us, it's always been the case. Yeah, we are a very customer-centric company, and anything and everything we do is based around customer centricity. We are very solution-oriented. We have relationships with customers spread over years together, and that really pays off. So it's, and I always say, something which I think also shows a message to the fraternity. In India, the customers and the service providers engage at a very operational level. And we have to start engaging to our customers from operational to tactical to strategical level. 10 years, 15 years back, logistics was not a topic of discussions in the board of large companies, but now it is. Yeah, and when this topic gets into the board for discussions, and especially with the ocean freight rates at as high as today, the board really looks closely to this, yeah, because the spend has overnight gone 10x. So when topic is already reached there, I think it's very important to service providers to engage with customers on a strategic note. And when you move from strategic to tactical to operational, you will have a well synchronized logistics model. Till I really don't know what my customer's customer expects from them, how can I service my customer? Whether it is the lead time, whether it is the service levels, any expectations. So I think it's like an employer and employee relationship, which is about aligning on deliverables and expectations. So is the service provider and service taker's relationship. Until we do not engage with them at a strategic level, how will the expectations and deliverables align? Generally, what we look at it with the telescope. This truck, this transit time, period.
Yes.
But we don't know the consequences of it not reaching. Yeah, and what are the commitments my customer has given to his customer? So I think this needs to be fully transparent, And what we do is, my customer will tell me, I need the cargo in 3 days. I will tell my traffic manager, I need it in 2.5 days. Who will tell the trucker, I need it in 2 days. And the trucker will tell the driver, कि वो 1.5 दिन में चाहिए. So what happens? The information has already got skewed, and then this driver will drive like crazy, and we will compromise on safety. So I think this information, the trust, it's a missing element in our industry. And I told you initially also, that today the biggest problem is the trust issue between service taker and service provider. Till we really do not invest in processes, in SOPs, in IT, in people, there cannot be a change. And with that will come the trust level.
Vivek, one final question. You got a free hand to work from your father and you passed on the same to your son. What would be your message to all the family-owned or family-managed businesses out there on these lines? How can they give the younger generation a free hand to explore?
Communicate. Very important that the two sit together and communicate. And you can always look at the upside and the downside on any project. And every company, individual will have their own limitations, whether it's finance or what is doable, not doable. You don't need to stretch yourself. If you have a possibility to spend 100, maybe you plan on 90. So I think the communication, the clarity as to what we can do, should be spoken about. If the father believes that no, we do not have this possibility to do something, then he has to communicate in those words. And there should be a willingness to invest in the future. We have to stop looking at situation from a short to medium term. So I think the message from my side to both the generations would be communicate, plan, document, and look at both the upside and the downside, and then spend good amount of time in planning and equally good amount of time in execution. And there is no substitute to hard work. Yes, the new generation talks about smart work. Yeah, I also believe that there is smart work. Yeah, but it has to be hand in hand, and especially in an industry where we all come from, where we generally lack the skill sets amongst people. So we need to work on both accounts, and then again coming back to the learning, development and training, etc. That has to be done, and we need to document a lot of things which is not documented currently. Today most of the learnings are passing from one generation to the other, like the centuries old model.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yes. How many of us really document our own case studies?
So true.
There
Those
is
are the biggest learnings you can have.
exactly. And we are creating now within Rhenus World, Rhenus India, what we call the Knowledge Management Center, where for the last 25 years, we've identified 2 people who have been with the company for 20 years. They will work along with the team to write case studies of all the good solutions we provided in the last 20 years, which will be available on our intranet for all new joinees to read through, learn from them, and get inspired to implement something even better for the customers in future.
Well friends, that's it from Trans India this week. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until next week, stay safe. Jai Hind.